National Arts Education Month. My name is Kate Stover and I'm the Arts Consultant at the Tulare County Office of Education. And I want to tell you a little bit about Poetry Out Loud. Poetry Out Loud is a national recitation competition open to high school students from across the nation. Every year, about 365,000 students compete in the nation in Poetry Out Loud. And here in California, about 50,000 students compete, which is a lot of students. The event is sponsored by the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Poetry Foundation, and here in California, by the California Arts Council. In Tulare County, it's sponsored by the Arts Consortium. The way Poetry Out Loud works is, again, it's open to high school students, and it works like a spelling bee, where the school will have a competition, and the school winner will move on to the county finals, the county winner will move on to the state finals, and then the state winner will move on to the national finals. In Poetry Out Loud, unlike other poetry slams and those types of events you might be familiar with, the students are really reading and reciting great works of poetry, great works of art, actually. So there's a list of about 400 poems that students can choose from. They memorize the poem and then they recite the poem for a group of judges. And we do this every year in Tulare County. We've done it since 2016, and it's a fantastic event. So students, if this sounds like something that you might be interested in, talk to your teachers. And teachers, keep an eye out on the Arts Consortium newsletter and the TCOE newsletters for more information about our event coming in the fall. So without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce our four-time Tulare County champion.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle Trapse. I am a senior at Tulare Union High School. This is going to be my fourth consecutive year winning Poetry Out Loud in the county and my fourth year going to state. With that being said, a little bittersweet because it's my last year, gotta go out strong. So without further ado, I have 3 poems I will be presenting. The first one is called In Memoriam, Martin Luther King Jr. by June Jordan. The second one is called Invictus by William Ernest Henley. And the third one is Battle Hymn of the Republic by Julia Ward Howe.
Honey, people, murder, mercy, USA. The milk lantern to monsters teach. To kill, to violate, pull down, destroy, the weekly freedom growing fruit from being born. America. Tomorrow, yesterday, rip, rape, exacerbate, despoil, disfigure, crazy, running threat. The deadly thrall, appall belief, dispel the wildlife, burn the breast, the onward tongue, the outward hand, deform the normal. Rainy riot, sunshine, shelter, wreck of darkness. Derogate, delimit, blank, explode, deprive, assassinate and batten up like bullets, fatten up the raving greed. Reactivate. A springtime terrorizing death by men by more than you or I can stop. They sleep who know a regulated place or pulse or tide, or changing sky, according to some universal stage direction. Obvious, like shore-washed shells. We share an afternoon of mourning. In between no next predictable, except for wild reversal, hearse rehearsal, bleach the black long lunging ritual of fright, insanity, and more deplorable abortion, more and more. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the fatal lightning of his terrible, swift sword. His truth is marching on. I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His day is marching on. I have read a fiery gospel writ in burnished rows of steel. As ye deal with my contemners, so with you my grace shall deal. Let the hero, born of woman, crush the serpent with his heel, since God is marching on. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free, while God is marching on.
What I want to get across has been said through the poem, sir. All of my emotions are laid out flat and bare, like for everyone to see. I'm vulnerable in that moment. And I feel like afterwards, I'm like, I give it a little second to breathe. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Because I feel relieved. I did what I wanted to do. I did what all I had to do. And I'm like, okay. I started reciting when I was a kid, doing like small things like Shel Silverstein, this and that. By the time I got to 5th grade, I was reciting like Desiderata or If by Rudyard Kipling. And the thing that I remember the most out of every time I performed was the joy I felt. Every time. It was a process in which I found myself discovering more and more about me. To the people coming into poetry next year and years after, poetry is a medium to let yourself be known and express yourself in the most honest way possible that you wanted to get across. There is no boundary. Poetry, you can write it. You can write whatever you want it. How you recite it, also up to you. How you interpret it, that's your pick. It's a medium in which you can be who you imagined yourself to be in that moment when you read it. Something else to add is if you find yourself in the position where you don't exactly relate to the poem, what it's saying, look at it in a different perspective. It's something that I have to do a lot because sometimes I do perform poetry on love. And I'm like, well, I've never been in a romantic relationship. What do you mean love? Like, what is this kind of like relationship talk you're telling me? It doesn't compute in my brain. Take it from a different perspective. Read it differently. I translate it into familial love. Oh, I love my parents. I love my sister. I'd do anything for them. And then suddenly everything clicked. Yeah, I would definitely like to thank my family. This entire experience wouldn't have come to fruition if it wasn't for their guiding hands, their encouraging voices. They're a big part into who I am today. So I'd like to thank them for that. Special thanks also to my sister, who is like the best, who's the one who goes through the poems with me. We rip them apart together. We assign different, we do a closer analysis on the poem, each line, go into the author's background, the poem's like time period is written in. She is a great help with all the analytical stuff. And special thanks to Mrs. P.O.L, who is always there for me and helps me get in touch with everyone that I need to for these things. Also, major thanks to Mr. Brian Lucas. And huge thanks to Art Consortium.
El Olvido by Judith Ortiz Cofer. It is a dangerous thing to forget the climate of your birthplace, to choke out the voices of dead relatives when in dreams they call you by your secret name. It is dangerous to spurn the clothes you were born to wear for the sake of fashion. Dangerous to use weapons and sharp instruments you are not familiar with. Dangerous to disdain the plaster saints before which your mother kneels, praying with embarrassing fervor that you survive in the place you have chosen to live. A bare, cold room with no pictures on the walls. A forgetting place where she fears you will die of loneliness and exposure. Jesus, Maria, Jose, she says, el olvido is a dangerous thing. Today by Billy Collins. If ever there were a spring day so perfect, so uplifted by a warm intermittent breeze, that it made you want to throw open all the windows in the house and unlatch the door to the canary's cage. Indeed, rip the little door from its jamb. A day when the cool break passed and the garden bursting with peonies seemed so etched in sunlight that you felt like taking a hammer to the glass paperweight on the living room end table, releasing the inhabitants from their snow-covered cottage so they could walk out, holding hands and squinting into this larger dome of blue and white. Well, today's just that kind of day. Hi, my name is Ximena Guzman, and I will be reciting Early Affection by George Moses Horton. I loved thee from the earliest dawn, when first I saw thy beauty's ray, and will, until life's eve comes on, and beauty's blossom fades away. And when all things go well with thee, with smiles and tears, remember me. I'll love thee when thy morn is past, and wheedling gallantry is o'er, when youth is lost in age's blast, and beauty can ascend no more, and when life's journey ends with thee, oh, then look back and think of me. I'll love thee with a smile or frown, mid sorrow's gloom or pleasure's light, and when the chain of life runs down, pursue thy last eternal flight. When thou hast spread thy wings to flee, still, a moment, wait for me. I'll love thee for those sparkling eyes to which my fondness was betrayed, bearing the tincture of the skies to glow when other beauties fade. And when they sink too low to see, reflect an azure beam on me.
Hi, my name is Zoe Roberts, and this poem is July in Washington, which was written by Robert Lowell. The stiff spokes of the wheel touch the sore spots of the earth. On the Potomac, swan-white power launches keep breasting the sulphurous waves. Otters slide, dive, and slick back their hair. Raccoons clean their meat in the creek. On the circles, green statues ride like South American liberators above the breeding vegetation. Prongs and spearheads and some equilateral backland inherit the globe. The elect, the elected. They come bright as dimes and die disheveled and soft. No one can name their names nor number their dates, circle by circle like rings on a tree. We wish the river had another shore, some further range of delectable mountains. The distant hills powdered blue as a girl's eyelid. It seems the least little shoveled land is there. And there were repugnance in our bodies that we could no longer control, could drag us back. Hi, my name is Zoe Roberts, and this poem is called The Farmer by W.D. Earhart. Each day I go into the fields to see what is growing and what remains to be done. It is always the same. Nothing is growing and everything needs to be done. Plow, harrow, disc, water, pray, till my hands rub and my bones ache. Blood raw with honest labor. The only thing that grows is the slow and transient intensity of need. I do not complain, except to the passerby who asks me why I choose to work such breath in earth. They would not understand if I stopped to pick up a rock or held it in my hands as a child or laughed, or if I told them it was their poverty that I choose to labor for them. I complain. A farmer of dreams knows what it means to be patient. A farmer of dreams knows what it means to pretend. Each day I go into the fields. Let me make songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs that'll stir like a battle cry wherever they are sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, nor for carnage nor strife, but songs that'll thrill the hearts of men with more abundant life. Let me make songs for the weary, amid life's fever and fret, till hearts shall relax their tension, and careworn brows forget. Let me sing for the little children, before their footsteps stray, sweet anthems of love and duty, to float o'er life's highway. I will sing for the poor and aged, as the shadows dim their sight, bright and restful mansions, where there shall be no night. Our world so worn and weary needs music pure and strong to hush the jangle and discords of sorrow, pain, and wrong. Music to soothe the sorrow, till war and crime shall cease. The hearts of men grow tender, girdle the world with peace.